Here is 50 tips to make you better at RLcraft. Villagers are pretty greedy and will follow players who have emerald blocks in their hands. This is very useful for transporting villagers early game when you don't have a rock. You can craft 2 birch logs into 4 pieces of paper. Very useful for librarians. Early game, it's very useful to reforge your leather baubles, such as the tool belt, quiver, and backpack, to Undying for extra tankiness. Undying is the best reforge. If you're having trouble finding the Unbreaking enchantment, all summoning staffs will only be enchanted with Unbreaking 3. They have a limited pool, and that pool is only Unbreaking 3. Guaranteed Unbreaking 3 if you enchant summoning staffs. To get extra hearts easily, mine heart crystal shards underground in caves. Fortune does work, it's just at a reduced rate. The Destroyer is summonable with a Calling Stone right-clicked on a summoning altar, which are commonly found in the Defiled Lands biome. These bosses are very easily choosable in water, even with no weapons and armor. They drop plenty of heart crystal shards. If you need some easy extra hearts without having to mine for them, you can easily kill a Defiled Lands Destroyer boss. You can craft the purple mushrooms from the Defiled Lands biomes into Defilement Powder, which transforms blocks into the defiled versions, which is very useful for getting the resources you need without having to mine. The potion rings are some of the most powerful early game baubles you can have, capable of giving speed and strength permanently, all with very little cost. 4 sugar and 1 redstone for a speed ring versus 4 blaze powder and 1 magma block for permanent strength. As you can see, that's pretty broken to have. And the best part is, they stack. If you have 2 speed rings, that becomes permanent speed 2. 2 strength rings becomes strength 2. And thankfully, you can craft the magma block very easily with slime from battle towers and blaze powder from the top battle tower chest. And it turns out the potion rings themselves are craftable as well, very easily by simply 4 gold and 1 lapis block. Very cheap to make, very good. Horses are, for one of the first times in RLcraft's history, actually good early game mounts. This is because of the addition of the mod Callable Horses, which allows you to set and call your horse. The best part is, setting your horse allows you to transfer it between waystones, which was the biggest problem with horses. I would recommend getting an early game horse mount if you can. For some reason, a lot of people don't know that the Dragon Canteen auto-purifies water. Earplugs prevent you from being attracted by a siren's call. They can be worn on the head slot and will replace your helmet. They are very useful while ocean exploring. The hammock can be placed down on 2 ropes and nails. This lets you skip the day by shift and right clicking on the bed, which can be useful in the mid to late game. A villager reroller lets you reroll villagers. The way this works is the zombie's head is inside the block, which makes it not able to be set on fire by the sun, and if you give it an item, provided the zombie can pick up items, it will prevent it from despawning. And because it's in that specific area, it will still be able to hit the villager where you put the villager. CD Stick has a nice video on it explaining this more in depth, but the basic setup is this. You have those blocks right behind you so that you can get the exact distance you need, and the setup is a Curse of Holding item in your main hand, a Bluntness 5 gold battle axe from the Spartan weaponry mod, as well as purification of any level. This weapon setup was provided to me by Silent Slander on the RLcraft Discord. Great Discord, I recommend you join. But basically it means that you will do 0 damage to the villager as long as you are spamming the attack button. CD Stick's video explains it more in depth, and as a result, I will leave it linked in the description for you all to check out if you want to see how this works more in depth. Krakes are blind and will only attack you if you sprint, jump near them, or attack them. The carpentry bench is a very simple recipe that allows you to craft crates, like shown on screen. Crates are incredibly useful for storage as they are a double chest in a single block. Incredibly useful for storage. You can use the Disintegration Tablet, which is a craftable item, to disintegrate certain baubles into Spectral Silk. This is especially useful for the Vitamins bauble, since it is a very common bauble drop from an Elder Guardian. The L menu combat has an ability called Iron Skin, which reduces damage by 5% per level. up to a max of 5. I highly recommend putting XP into this as soon as it is reasonable. You can apply mending to both the medkits from the Rough Tweaks mod, which allows you to infinitely heal provided you have XP to mend the medkits. There's a very weird method to shoot through iron bars, which is useful specifically in the College of Evil structure, to break the end crystal. To perform it, you need to be on a flying mount and press jump and then shift rapidly and while firing the bow. You can use the Lycanite's equipment forge to craft something called a steel Paxel. You craft hardwood rod, a hardwood hilt, and the Paxel multi-tool as the head. You then combine these all in the equipment forge. It only needs to be level 1, and then you get a crafted equipment, which has the harvest capabilities of a diamond pickaxe, shovel, and axe. A very useful tool. It also has 1500 durability. The Broken Heart Bauble is an incredible bauble because it prevents you from dying as long as you have extra hearts to spare. As you can see, my body is on 1 HP, and the skeleton shot almost killed me, but instead, it took the hearts from my arm. The default limb UI is very vague and does not really show you much. It also does not display all the time. To fix this, we can go into the first aid mod config, overlay, switch the overlay mode to hearts to make it easy, switch the visible ticks after health change to -1 to make it always show, even when we are not taking damage. It makes it look a lot cleaner in my opinion. It is objectively more clear to see how much health you have left. I highly recommend taking some warp scrolls with you. This will allow you to return without needing a portal. This is incredibly useful for the Lost Cities dimension. However, they do not work while you are taking damage. The gold dagger has the highest enchantability value versus cost of any of the weapons in this mod pack, which makes it perfect for trying to find top tier enchants to disenchant. If you're struggling with skeletons, a Polarized Stone may be your answer. They can be shift right-clicked to activate the repel mode, which, at the cost of some mana, reflects Skeleton's arrows, making you essentially immune. And the best part is, it doesn't have to be in your bauble slot. It can be in your inventory by pressing the Dragon's Eye X-Ray keybind, which is by default set to the letter P. You can cycle through ores to X-Ray and try to find. This works through walls, through anything really. It's useful for finding tier 5 dragon dens, as those are surrounded by a lot of ores. You can infinitely tower as long as you have 2 carry-onable blocks. You shift right click to add a block to your carry-on, and then you can right click while shifting to place it back down. I'll let past me explain how to cheese a battle tower with a pike. To make sure you are at the right distance, slowly inch forward until you can see the outline on the chest that indicates you can click and interact with it. However, if you move too close, the golem will detect you because now you're in its detection range. Do note, however, that the pike cheese will not work at a diagonal because the golem's detection range is in a square. And in front here, you can see this is where I was reaching it with the pike. This works completely fine if you're at this range. However, you can see I cannot reach the chest from here. And if I go too close and I reach the chest here, it activates the golem. You can hold a type treat that matches the type of mob. It won't attack you as long as you are holding the treat. However, this does not work on mobs that are not tameable. Luck arrows are a craftable item from the Switchbow mod. This is particularly useful when hunting for rabbit's foot to tame a hippogriff. Ice villagers will trade you various items for sapphire, which is very useful when making dragon treats to tame a Morock, which is the best flying mount in the game in my opinion, and in many others' opinion. It will also trade for a witherbone, which is useful in some crafting recipes. The craftsman villager will trade you a frost troll leather, which is very useful for making an avian saddle. Blast stem fruit from the defiled lands biome can act as a pseudo hand grenade, which is useful for breaching the protection of protected structures in which you cannot place or break blocks. This bypasses that. I recommend bringing a water bucket with you at all times because it stops mobs from being able to get to you most of the time, unless there is a mob that has an ability to pull you in. This is particularly useful against blight versions of mobs that cannot swim, such as zombies. Love arrows from the Switchbow mod can be used to pacify animals. The breeding cooldown for love arrows is 2,000 ticks compared to the default 6,000. Bonus tip. Quivers work in your hotbar. They do not need to be in your bauble slot. You can soulbind tamed mobs with a Soulstone, which is made from a soul gazer, 4 ender pearls, and 4 diamonds. This lets you summon, dismiss, teleport, and do all sorts of things with your mounts. You can resummon them too when they die. If you set your spawn point in a bed and then break the bed, your spawn will be destroyed and you will have random spawning. This can be abused with the magic mirror item, which, when right-clicking, acts as an infinite recall potion. You can use this to find tier 5 dens, since mobs will generate before the chunks. Right-clicking on Endermite Powder in the end acts as a pseudo Eye of Ender, which locates end cities. Upon reaching agility level 4, you will be granted access to the dodge ability, which you can level up in your skills menu, which you find inside your inventory right here. This ability lets you, if you press the keybind for your dodge key, which as default is set to the Alt button, it will allow you to perform a leap in the 4 cardinal directions. That's pretty cool. However, it cannot clear over this block gap, you see? However, we can perform something called a super dodge, which happens when we press the dodge button and then the jump button immediately after. The momentum stacks or multiplies. It does some weird thing. One slight issue is it is bugged with the jump height reforges, such as Masterful and Springy. What this does is reduce the jump height of your super dodge. As you can see, goes lower than before. However, the normal one still works like intended. So just keep that in mind. Thanks, Pass Me, but you also forgot to mention that this ability can randomly kill you if you crash into a wall. Yes, fun game design. I lost a hardcore run to this. To beat Amalgalitch without taking damage, all you need is a 100 DPS weapon and to not get third-partied by parasites. You WASD in a square, and you will never get hit. Underwater Doom-like dungeons can have Neptunian ingots in their chests, which is very useful for Stone of the Sea bauble. Umbrium Armor is insanely good. With only a defense requirement of 4, it gives around the same protection as Iron Armor, and gives you permanent strength and immunization. If you shift and right-click on a villager with a charged emerald, it will permanently discount its trades. This video took me 12 hours to make. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to, do all the like, sub stuff. I don't really know how to say that in a way that isn't, but yeah, just do the thing, do the thing.